So I feel like we should have a drum roll. This is a pretty cool time of the afternoon where we get to bring great people sharing good stuff. And today we have a special guest, somebody who's been very influential in my speaking career. And we'll get to talk about that in a minute. But I want to welcome John DiJulius. And he is sitting in Cleveland in the sun. So you know it's a great day. Welcome aboard, my brother. It's your chance to tell me something good. Go.
Well, 2 weeks ago it was snowing, and but it didn't register. I think with this whole quarantine, I didn't know why everyone was making such a big fuss that it was snowing. I'm like, we live in Cleveland, and then I literally had to check the date, and it was like May 15th. I'm like, oh yeah, that's not normal. Like I think I've lost 2 months here. I thought we were still in March or something, and I'm like, yeah, it shouldn't be snowing here. So. It's nice to have warm weather, and it's a pleasure to be on your show.
Awesome. So I know what you do. I know how you do it, but I want you to tell my audience in only the way that you can do it. Rock and roll. Tell us, what you do, who you do it with, and why you do it.
Yeah, we want to create a customer service revolution. We want to change the world by creating a customer service revolution. And the DiJulius Group just works with, companies, in every industry that, wants to become the brand customers can't live without and help make everyone.
So I had the pleasure of meeting you when I got invited to your customer service revolution event, which was mind-blowing to me, how committed you and your team are to really developing those habits that employees have, culture. So share a little bit more about that execution and maybe what's going to happen now that we're in a virtual world.
Yeah, I don't think it changes much, but I guess if you haven't done it, I think we've all been, dipping our toe in the virtual, and we have to build relationships, whether it's, me and you are having coffee, have a, that physical meeting, or, doing a Zoom call. And, something that we've been doing for 3 years in my organizations was no one was allowed to have a conference call with anyone, another human being, be it a customer, candidate, employee, vendor, you name it. It had to be a Zoom call. And it's for exactly this reason, right? Steve, is a voice, and, I can't, but when I see you, I'm like, oh, he's a really nice guy. Oh, look at his smile. He laughs at my jokes. And I also pick up, stuff about, could be, a trip, a vacation, a degree on the back wall, your family. And so I'm collecting information there, but the number one reason why I do it and selfishly is if we're ever on a call, and not video, I'll start multitasking, and I'll look at my phone, and my youngest son will be blowing up my phone for something, I keep on saying no to, and I'll start responding to him, and meanwhile, I asked you if you had plans this weekend, and you say, yeah, my great aunt passed away and we got to go back to the funeral. I'll be like, oh, great, Steve, have a great time doing that. And it's obvious that I'm not paying attention. So, we have to build those relationships in emails, in virtual, and we have to focus on the other person and what's important to them, no matter what the interaction vehicle is.
Love that. I love that. So I'm going to share with people the experience I had with you, because it's all about experience. You put on this major event. There's a couple of thousand people. I was fortunate that you invited me to speak, and I got the chance to, it was early in my career.
And you crushed it. You crushed it.
Thank you. But here's where it gets good. And this is probably the best thing that I can talk about, is that I asked you to critique me. And where other people were blowing smoke at me, oh my God, you crushed it, you were great, whatever, I couldn't wait to get your response. And you said, look, we're downloading stuff, give me a little bit of time, which I caught like, wow, okay, so he's actually going to do it, first clue. And then you did it. And when you did it, I couldn't wait to read it, like for my ego to blow up. And you crushed me, man. I loved it.
Not
And you know
true.
what?
Not
You gave me the best advice of anybody in my speaking career, because you told me the truth. Hey, if you want to do this, I can blow smoke up your ass all day long. Here's what I've learned, and I've watched you, and you're amazing. You have great stage presence and energy.
Thank you.
So I want to talk about real candid feedback as it pertains to
Steve,
me.
what I thought, I really, the example I thought you were going to is the surprise we did for your significant other.
I was going to get to that. Yes.
All right.
I'm getting to it.
That I didn't even know about. How about that? I'm like, I had no idea.
Did not even know about
me, and I'm like, what are you talking about?
So there's two parts to it, which are great. So
Okay,
the first part is
sorry.
I want you to comment on leaders giving real critical feedback, not bullshit. I mean, that's part of what you do. And now you do it at scale. You've done it for gigantic companies. How do you create a culture where people receive that kind of feedback in the right place?
Well, they have to want it, and I know you wanted it. You told me, you were long before I ever met you. You were very accomplished, but you told me, you crush it in the workshop, all day workshops, coaching space, and that you were building your keynote, which is a completely different animal. So I just noticed a little nuances, and someone did it for me. I used to come out there my first 1,000 speeches. And I do what everyone does. Someone introduce you, and you come out and you go, "Thank you, Steve, for introducing me." And I tell the audience how flattered I am to be in front of them, and that's what everyone does. And there was a professional speaker in the audience that came up and says, "You're pretty good, but you could be a lot better." And like you, I'm like, I don't want to hear that. Just stop with "you're pretty good," right? And he says, "Don't come out and do all that cordial BS. Like, everyone does it. No one feels better in the audience that you said you're flattered to be here." He said, "Just come out with your opening story mid-sentence." And like, ever since I did that, it was so proud. Like, now I come out and I'll say, it was February 1998, and I was in Orlando, Florida. And like, as soon as someone introduced me, that's how I came up. And it made everything else so much better versus doing it's a pleasure and it's such an honor. And you guys are so, everyone says it. So, people, even my first book or first manuscript, when I sent that out, thank God, people were brutal and said, "This is a great book if I want to open a hair salon. But it's not for, any other business." And I'm like, "What do you mean? Like, why can't you see what I do in the hair salon fits what you do in the, hardware store or in the accounting?" And all these really honest, smart people said, "You got to tell me if you don't draw the parallels." And so it was one of those things, well, you're wrong, to me, in my mind, you're wrong, you're wrong. And then all of a sudden, when you realize, 15, 20 people are wrong, you're the one that's probably wrong. But man, my book wouldn't have sold 100 copies if I didn't get that brutal feedback and force me to, go back and draw the parallels.
So that brings me to the next part of the story, which is why I took the feedback from you so well. So I'm at a customer service event. I don't really know you. It was cool. I was glad to be there. We see a big bus outside. You guys treated the speakers amazing. And I've told future people that if they ever get the chance to do your event, it's high caliber, really great. So we get to talking, and I think it was Nicole said, "Hey, the bus will pick you up outside at right afterwards to go to dinner." And I go, "Is that the white bus?" She goes, No. That was Guns N' Roses. Like, Michelle hears Guns N' Roses and basically is in heat thinking about it. And she says, "Do you guys want to go?" Absolutely not. I'm not going. I have dinner plans with my friend Greg Levy. Okay. Next thing you know, we go upstairs. We get 2 tickets delivered. Michelle goes with the lady, I forgot her name, from Ocean Prime. And
Heather Buck.
Heather Buck, man. And the two of them are sitting front row for Guns N' Roses. And I was like, you have to live it to be able to share it. And you guys do. So talk a little bit about your own culture and the clients you deal with, because I had really never experienced anything to that degree. It was overwhelming. I still talk about it, obviously. So
yeah, again, I didn't know about it. They didn't have to ask me permission. Probably was expensive, but that like I'm more excited that they did it than they never have to ask me. So our whole what we teach, what we preach, what we have to walk is you gotta the number one way to build relationships with others is obviously to focus on them, right? And that's hard because we're all genetically coded to be preoccupied with our world, right? In normal times, it's my flight that was delayed last night. It's my client that's maybe upset with us, and it's my son that got in trouble and the principal called. And but how do you turn that off? So what we say is you have to, whenever you have a conversation with anyone, you have to focus on their Ford, Ford. And if you focus and two or more things of someone's Ford after a 5-minute conversation or 2 conversation, you not only built a relationship, you own the relationship. And so, because to each of us, Ford is our hottest buttons, right? So F, family, right? Are they married? Do they have kids? How old are their kids? How long they've been married? What activities are their kids into? O, occupation, right? What do they do? Who do they do it for? How long they've been doing it? R is a lot of people's hottest buttons, recreation, right? What do they do with their free time? What do they enjoy? Are they runners? They do hot yoga. They coach Little League. And then D stands for dreams. What's on their bucket list? What's their dream vacation? What's their encore performance that they're working towards? So we train our employees, we train our clients on how to build those systems into CRM systems. So our employees are trying to always find Ford on our speakers. And so, Nicole's the greatest at it. And so, she is just, you don't even know you said something. And, an hour later, there'll be Skittles in front of you. And you're like, yeah. And she's just really good at it. So like, we look at like the customer service revolution and we have 5 clients and they're in order. From most important, if you want to call that. And our number one client is the speakers, right? Without speakers, we're not going to get, 1,000 people there. So what do we have to do, right? We have to give the speakers such an incredible experience in every way, exposure to, thousands of people and, the right people and all that stuff. And then the next one is our CEOs. We need them there. And or the speakers won't, be there. And then, we want to make sure the speakers have a private dinner with the CEOs. So there's value added. And then the CEOs bring their people. And then the third one is our concierge. And if you remember, those are the people that are working the tables, trying to, find what you need. And they go out and they get it for you. And then the fourth one is sponsors. And then the fifth one, which we actually do the least for as far as is the attendees. And I know that sounds totally opposite, but if we have great speakers with, the CEOs and we have great concierges, the attendees have a great experience. They almost, it's just by default. Yeah, that was a long answer.
But I love it because it's so genuine and so true. And I took the Ford away. I'm a lifelong learner. I know that there's no new ideas. It's just repackaging of other stuff. I took away Ford. Like, wow, man, I really love that. It's really tangible. It really makes it like I'm a relationship builder. I did that, but I didn't necessarily put it in a box that said, that really worked for me. Conversely, the name of this show, Tell Me Something Good, you grab that. And so that.
It's so good. And listening to your presentation, because I wasn't able to see it live because we had, so much going on at the same time. And I'm running around at my conference and I see the lease. So I got to listen to it and I'm like, oh my God, this Tell Me Something Good. And the way I interpret it, I put it in my latest book, The Relationship Economy, is, don't go up and say, hey, Joe, hey, Samantha, how you do it, because, that opens it up to, well, my dog died and the hemorrhoids are back. And, you're like, oh my God, how can I recover from that? Right. And, and so, hey, Steve, tell me something good. And what I love about that question is you immediately get 2 to 3 forward answers.
Correct.
Right?
That's exactly
Steve, tell me
what
something good. I'm so excited. My son just came aboard on my company, and he was previously, a football coach, and you're just like, it's a dream. So I love that. And I tell everyone, and I give you the credit. And I just think it's such a great opening one-liner that immediately puts us in a positive space, because especially, man, during COVID, we could all go dark really quick, and we could complain about our mental state. We can complain about, my revenue is down 50%. There's so much. It's an unhealthy addiction, and not that we don't want to be there for each other, but if we could talk about the positives like we do, we should have recorded our opening conversation, because we were just bouncing all the great things, the gift that me and you have found personally and professionally in this.
You're awesome. I miss hanging out with you. There's no surprise that leaders, find what you do. I met Jim Bennett through your organization. Jim's a dear friend, and to hear Jim,
you had a huge impact in his business, huge.
And we're friends, but to hear him talk about you, like, I remember him really digging deep and going, listen, it was quantifiable the way you impacted the business. And he knew the numbers off the top of his head, bang, bang, bang. And, a lot of trouble with the work that we do when you consult is that it's really hard to put a string around it and go, how do you create that metric? I'm a metric-driven sales guy. Can't measure it, can't, react to it. So that's what took, to me, and this is just being candid, customer service to me was always like fluffy. Just be nice to me. Just be nice to people. It's not something you really dig into as a discipline. You made it a discipline. So if you can share with people the origin of that mindset came from, you mentioned it before, the hair salons. Tell us a little bit about how you started the consulting business through the hair salons.
Yeah, the one thing I say, professionally, there's only I love, like you do sales. I love talking about customer experience. Like I get, like you better have 2 hours if you want to sit down and start talking, because I'll go on. There's only one thing professionally I like better than customer experience, and you said is results, right? I want results, right? Otherwise, it is, save the money, have a bigger party at the end of the year, get a DJ, that if you can't measure the results. But so almost 30 years ago, I started my first business with my wife, and we started a little hair salon. And, we had the 3 no's: no money, no employees, and no customers. And so, but like in any big city, you could throw a rock and hit, 6, 7 different salons in any direction, on the strip we were on. And so how were we going to be different? We couldn't outbuild a nicer place. Sure, our haircuts were good, but theirs were too, and we certainly couldn't outspend marketing wise. And so the only thing I thought of was let's provide an experience that was so exceptional. And it wasn't, we didn't want to be known as the best experience your wife had of a salon, because that's kind of irrelevant. If she came into the salon today, she then doesn't go to any of our competitors and compare it. We wanted to be the best experience she had that day. So when she went from us to meet her friend for lunch, or went to the dentist's office, or went shopping, everything paled in comparison. And so that was our goal. And it just started growing and growing and growing. And, went from 900 square feet to 1,200 to 2,000 to 6,000 to multiple locations. And, years later, now we do have deeper pockets, and we still don't spend anything, on, anything but our customer experience, because it was all about, our getting raving, fans that would do the marketing for you, that would come back It's not the hole in the boat. I can't keep the customer, so let's keep on advertising for more. I mean, all that is doing is exposing people to the brand terrorists.
Oh, you're incredible. You are absolutely incredible. There are so many nuggets in here. I can't wait for my audience to get it. I am so thrilled that you took the time to do this. I'll let you get back to sunbathing.
Yeah.
You know, at any time you pick up the phone or you need me, I'll be there for you. You made an impact in my life. You are definitely something good. Thanks.
We're going to work together again and vice versa. One of my favorite sayings is give more. We got to find ways to give more. And you do that. You live that. You don't do what is expected or is promised. You deliver more than anyone expects, and that's why you're so successful. And I've learned a lot from you. So thank you.
I really appreciate that. There's more to this story. Maybe we'll have you back on it, but for now, that is something really good. Thank you, my friend.
Thank you, Steve.